Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Scott. Today we're talking maybe the new budget bourbon we're all kind of on the lookout for. This is the Jim Beam 7-year. We're going to talk about that today on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. So we're always on the lookout for the new kind of budget bourbon that is kind of hitting the market. Well, Jim Beam prior to this had their extra aged black label, which now has been kind of replaced with their age stated 7-year 90 proof bourbon. And is this going to be kind of the new budget bourbon that a lot of people find themselves going to? We're going to talk a little bit about that now, kind of see what the profile on this one has, and is this going to be kind of worth its between $20 and $25 price point? My guess would be yes. But we're going to dive into this a little bit and just kind of see exactly what the profiles are that this bourbon is giving us. So, all right, color-wise, you can see kind of like a little light to medium copper type of color. Moving the whiskey around the glass. Actually, for a 90 proof whiskey, pretty decent oils, I'll say so far. Not something you see quite that often. But more importantly, let's go ahead and see what this one's going to give us on the nose. So right away, that very classic or tried and true type of bourbon profile. You know, lots of the vanillas, the caramels, nice little spice that it has, a little bit of those honey notes, a little bit more of that kind of peanut shell that Jim Beam is kind of typically known for. I will say this, I've had this bottle now open for about 10 days or so. I wasn't picking up nearly the amount of that peanut note early on as I am now. So it seems like as this bottle opens up a little bit more of that kind of peanut kind of continues to come out. Yeah, again, very nice kind of vanillas, caramel, a little bit of peanut, slight like chocolate note, little hint of like an orange zest. Nice spice, nice oak. Yeah, nice little hints of that honey. Some nice spice notes. Yeah, a little bit more of that kind of peanut. So again, very kind of typical classic Jim Beam kind of profile so far. Something that I think a lot of people are not only familiar with, but typically enjoy from Jim Beam. So let's go ahead and dive into this and see exactly what this one's going to give us on the palate. Cheers. For a 90 proof bourbon, I think it has a nice texture. It's got that kind of creamy characteristic. A lot of what I was getting on the nose is kind of transferring over to the palate. Again, really nice vanilla notes, really nice kind of fresh caramel notes, little bit of that spice, little bit of oak, more of those kind of honey notes that are there. Really nice and approachable so far. Probably a medium spice factor. Yeah, I think this like right away would be a great kind of entry-level bourbon to give to somebody who is maybe getting into bourbon, just to give them an idea of what that classic bourbon kind of profile is. It just feels like it's all of that. Really nice entry-level, approachable type of bourbon. Easy to sip on. Again, like I mentioned before, nice texture, fairly creamy. All of those standard type of bourbon notes, vanillas, caramel, spice, a little bit of honey, some oak that's there. So far, I think this is kind of falling in line with why people are feeling that this is just kind of a nice little entry level or the new best kind of budget bourbon. Yeah, this may end up being just one of those kind of straightforward, straight to the point, simple, easy kind of reviews, because this is all of what I just described. Again, vanillas, caramel, a little bit of spice, maybe hints of chocolate, a little bit of that kind of orange zest or orange, something along those lines. Nice spice, good honey notes. All of that is fantastic. And one of the things I'll say why I feel that a bourbon at 90 proof can taste like this and be this approachable and enjoyable is the fact that they are age stating this as 7 years. So we know within this blend, the minimum age is going to be 7 years. Now, maybe they're using some slightly older stuff, but what's allowing a lot of these flavors to, I think, come out in a bourbon that's 90 proof is the fact that it has some age to it. So even by adding a little bit of water, and again, at times adding water to a whiskey can bring out lots of different things, very interesting, make a bourbon even better. And I think to its point is this is kind of happening with this. So I think you're getting a little bit more of a profile of a slightly older whiskey, all at 90 proof. So at the end of the day, when you're sitting down and you want a lot of those kind of full flavors of a bourbon at a slightly lower proof, this has all of that. So I think in terms of this being a great, not only entry level bourbon, but a kind of daily sipping type of bourbon, and what's making this feel like a great budget bourbon or a great value bourbon. This has a lot of those flavors that result in a profile that a lot of us truly enjoy. So I think this kind of newish release, the Jim Beam 7-year, has kind of hit all the marks. So in my opinion, I think it has quickly become, you know, amongst some of the others, one of the top or best budget bourbons that you can get out there on the market. So I wouldn't hesitate at all to have this within that kind of daily sipping lineup. So if you're able to get the new Jim Beam 7-year at around that $20, $25, maybe $30, I would highly encourage you to maybe pick up a bottle, see for yourself. Again, I think it has a lot of those very tried and true, just enjoyable flavors that we're all kind of looking for in a bourbon. And I can see exactly why a lot of people are kind of gravitating towards this bourbon as a really new either entry level or great budget bourbon. So there you have it. There are my overall thoughts on the newest release from Jim Beam, their 7-year. Again, I think it's going to just fall right into that category again, or continue to be in that category of just great budget bourbons. And again, from one of the heritage distilleries, the Jim Beam 7-year did not disappoint whatsoever. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, both of those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel and become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, make sure you check out the link in the description below. That down there with a lot of other great things for you as well. So again, thank you guys so much for joining me today. And as always, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.